Welcome back. Time now for our blog of the day. Hala.
Well, today's blog of the day comes from Chinese blogger William Long, who's built up quite a following on his own website. And here's his take on the Google situation. He says that Google's announcement is basically psychological warfare and is unlikely to be implemented because Google would be the loser, as well as Chinese internet users. Google, he says, doesn't think of itself as a media outlet, but as a search engine. And it believes that its search results are rendered purely by an algorithm and so it shouldn't be filtered as in the US.
But Long says that because of the Chinese government's much-trumpeted anti-pornography campaign, Google couldn't cope with the situation and had to change its strategy in China. He continues that in the case of the recent copyright lawsuit with the Chinese Writers' Society, Google also didn't understand the position of the writers properly. So reaction and impact in China are things that Google really finds hard to understand.
Now, Long says Chinese people look at things from different angles and will understand the views of different groups. But for Americans, it is difficult to understand. He questions whether Google will really withdraw from the Chinese market because that would mean missing out on a huge market. That would be a major blow to Google's global strategy in the future, especially in relation to its mobile phone Nexus 1 and mobile operating system Android.
And he says that China and the United States have always been strategic rivals, but at the same time partners in many areas. Google must realise that people in China and the United States don't think in exactly the same way, so they must find more channels to exchange viewpoints. Quitting China, he concludes, is not an attractive option for Google. Now, there are a number of comments on that blog. The first one saying that this is an interesting idea, but I still find it hard to believe that they would throw away such a huge opportunity to make money, not only now, but for the next 100 years, this commenter says, just because of the case of hackers. And if the issue were just hackers, there would have been many other ways that they could have dealt with it, other than going to the extreme of completely pulling out of the country.
Absolutely. Someone else here weighing in, saying, somehow I doubted that Google would retreat just because they only have a third of the market share in China, of course, but this does make sense now. In the end, international corporations still abide by politics.
And one final comment saying, but I support Google leaving, and then we will simply use google.com instead of google.cn. Well, stay with us. BON News continues with Straight from the Street coming up next.